of pulling out trophies from back at Duke and all. As you come down here, we got the ode to Bear Bryant, right?
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about.
Do you know that he went on a recruiting trip? We'll have to ask him about that with Bear Bryant back in the day at Alabama.
Anybody familiar in here?
Is that Chris Doering? Take a look at that. That's impressive. Wait, hold on. Your hair looks better now than it is there back in the day.
A little different look, right? Yeah, it's just tons of great memorabilia, like even the Pebble Beach stuff he's got up here.
The trophies. I know, Coach was a huge, or still is a huge golfer. We'll have to ask him about some of his favorite rounds back in the day as well.
No doubt.
All right, let's go continue to check it out, including I want to see some of the visors that he's had over the years. All right, just say it. This is your favorite room.
Well, it's my favorite room. It's the podcast room. Like, you and I want to come here and do a show remotely sometime. We set up in here, but it's also honors Coach Spurrier and his love of football, his involvement. You start at the top. These are the teams he played for from Science Hill High School all the way through his professional career. Then coming back and as assistant to Florida and Georgia Tech, on to the Bandits in the USFL, to Duke, Florida, Washington, South Carolina, and the Orlando Apollos. Man, 62 years of dedicating his life to the sport of football.
And that's why this thing is a really cool museum. You see all the different helmets that the Florida Gators have had over the years, but this is kind of one of the coolest things I see in this entire restaurant is the fact that this is the Nick Saban Legacy Award. So the story is that when Nick Saban agreed to be a part of this award, he said only on one condition. Steve Spurrier has to win the first one. And you see it, Steve Spurrier's name a part of it.
I was fortunate enough to be there that night in Birmingham. It was so awesome to see Coach be honored by Coach Saban and the way that the two interacted, the respect that you saw Coach Saban have for Coach Spurrier.
It was really a tremendous night to be a part of.
Part of the Regions Extra SEC Stories is we go extra behind the scenes, so I can't wait to ask Coach about some of those relationships he had with Philip Fulmer, with Bobby Bowden, with Coach Saban himself. So this is a very important room, not only for Florida Gator fans, but Florida Gator recruits as well, right?
Yeah, this is an opportunity to show off all of the people that have won championships here, all the coaches that have been featured by James Bates, my former teammate with a Fortret, have won national championships at Florida, 49 national championships and whole 266 SEC championships, which I don't want to brag, but that's the most in the SEC.
He doesn't like to brag.
So,
sure,
you
absolutely.
Few of these
Take a look at him right here, yeah.
You see Coach Spurrier, he's got his up there for the 96 national championship, going all the way back to 68, I believe, was the first national championship.
That's a new one over there, isn't it?
The new one, yep. Our guy, Todd Golden, 2025 national champions, and hopefully many more. We're running out of room, though, PB. We got to figure out where we're going to put the next one.
Kevin O'Sullivan as well, too, winning that for the Florida baseball team. I see those. So there's a whole heck of a lot of success here in that room. Another topic that we'll catch up on the SEC Extra Stories with Regions Bank. I mean, obviously, Coach Spurrier, one of the best play callers as well, but this is something special as well.
Yeah, not only play callers, play designers, and these are some of my favorite things because these are some of the most historic plays in Florida football history. When Coach was here, you see the 97 game against FSU, number one FSU gets knocked off here in the swamp. As you go down, you may see a few, like this was the one you saw me with the double pass to Aubrey Hill in the SEC championship game in 1994. And then maybe one of my favorites as we get down further here. Doering's got a touchdown, PB. You may have heard of that, right?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Yep. So ran this play 2 plays in a row, Steamers Y7, and hit me with 3 seconds left to help us win that game.
So we'll have to go and ask Coach just simply about how did he come up with all of these plays, including the Doering's got a touchdown. All right, now as a golfer, you knew this was going to be maybe my favorite part here. The personal collection of the visors hats worn by the head ball.
These are the old school, real golf visors. He was big on, he didn't like he called them the young man's visors. He didn't like those quite as much.
I tell you what I do like is this one right here, the Fun and Gun. I'm ready to ask him about that. Where did that nickname come from? You ready to go ask him those questions? Yeah. All right, to Spurrier's house we go.
I did want to ask you about the competitiveness. I think that's the thing that I love the most about just how much you love to compete. You would talk to us all the time about, coaches love guys that compete. Where'd that competitiveness come from?
Probably my dad. my dad loved all sports. He wasn't very good. He was sort of a tennis player. My uncle, Bob Spurrier, was an outstanding tennis player. In fact, he won the North Carolina State Amateur Championship way back and was a pro at the Charlotte Country Club for several years. And he used to, for Christmas, he'd bring me a baseball glove or a tennis racket or something like that. But I grew up playing basketball and baseball mostly because football, there was not anything I was good at. I couldn't outrun anybody or run over anybody. And in fact, my buddies in junior high, they said, "Steve, you'll quit football when you get to high school because you're not any good." I said, "Well, I can punt. I can punt and kick off some." And that's sort of what kept me out. And then I grew a little bit and we started throwing the ball a little bit. Our coach got some pass plays from actually a pro quarterback, Billy Wade. Remember Billy Wade, Chicago Bears?
Yeah.
Bill Wade came into town one, they had the preaching mission, and he was preaching out at East Tennessee State and came by our high school. He said, "That tall kid over there," I was 6'1". I was a tall kid for we said, "That tall kid over there, he can throw the ball. Here's some pass plays." So put him in, and we started firing away, and I got to throw it pretty much my whole senior year and about pretty much my junior year too.
But in high school too, were you point guard at high school basketball?
Yeah, guard, forward, all over the place.
Yeah, 22 points a game. Or you sell yourself
Well,
short a little bit.
Yeah, I was the best shooter, so I did most of the shooting. In fact, they called me Gunner. That's why I like Gunner Stockton. I like his name. But yeah, my buddies called me Gunner because I shot about all the time, seemed like.
A great pitcher too, right? I mean, you had
Baseball was really our sport. We won 2 state championships, and I mean 5-4, 11-10. It didn't matter what happened. We somehow or another would win in baseball, and we beat Memphis Christian Brothers in Memphis the last year. So and they're a perennial state champ in baseball. But I think that's where Feinbaum went to school.
Yeah.
Christian
Because
Brothers.
I mean, that's in the Johnson City airfield, right? I mean, so
we were just there.
yeah, we were just there. That was too long ago. Now, when you were coming out of high school, were you being recruited for baseball, basketball?
Well, mostly football. Yeah, mostly football. I tell you what was sort of funny. Our season was over. We lost 2 games, 20-19, and another one. So we were actually 6-4, but we won our last 4 games. And I'm out practicing basketball with the basketball team. Somebody came out there and said, "You guys are in a bowl game, a high school bowl game." They didn't have state playoffs out there back then. I said, "You kidding?" He said, "No. In fact, Coach Tipton wants you out to practice right now." So I said, "See, you guys, I got to go play a game this week." So we went to Kingsport in Churchill County School near there. They'd had a good record. So we played them in the Exchange Bowl. The Exchange Club sponsors it. So we got behind 21-0 right away. And our coach, he could yell and scream at you. And he came over to me and he said, "Steve, you can pass the ball every down from now on." He let me call the plays. And so we started firing, and we caught up with them and beat them 28-21. And I'd thrown 4 touchdown passes. And this is 1962. That never happens. So I got a lot of extra colleges, I guess, started recruiting me then. The forward pass was sort of coming into play more. So anyway, that game probably helped me as far as being recruited a bunch of places.
So I think about that. I didn't even know that there were high school bowl games. And if you don't play in that game, what ultimately happens? Because that's a breakout.
Well, I'd still thrown for a bunch of yards for up there. But that game sort of, he threw 4 touchdown passes back then. It was unheard of.
I think the more fascinating part, though, I've heard you talk multiple times about coaches that allow you to call the plays.
Yeah.
And how was that something that you lobbied for, or that they just saw in you the ability to handle the offense out there?
I had just sort of always done it, and Coach Graves here at Florida also let me call the plays. And my most fun story, though, of all time, the 49ers, I was after 9 years. And
San Francisco 49ers.
San Francisco 49ers, the LA Rams owned us, and I mean owned us. In 9 years, our final record was 2-16. They beat us 16 out of 18 times. But anyway, my 9th year out there, I'm about second or third. We're 1-6, and they were about 6-1 or 7-0, the Rams, and we're going down there to play them. So I went into Coach Nolan's office on Tuesday or Monday, whatever it was. I said, Coach, I want to ask you something. We're going nowhere. I'd like to play this week against the Rams. I'd already been benched or whatever, and had some young guys going. And he said, oh, you never know. You may be. I said, no, I'm serious. We haven't beat those guys but once in 9 years I've been here, and I'd like to see if we can go down there and beat them. I just would like to beat them to say we beat their ass one time, you know? And he said, well, let me think about it. So, and I tell you what else I'd like to do. I'd like to put in 4 or 5 plays and let me call the plays too.
Why not?
He said, really? I said, yeah, we can beat those guys. So he thought about it. He said, okay, you got it. Next day, he got it. So we stayed out after practice. We put in a little halfback bopper play. Oh, they played. You could see what they're playing. And hit Gene Washington on a 3rd and 1, about a 60-yard touchdown. So anyway, the game worked out, although we had to kick about a 54-yard field goal at the end to beat them 24-23. It was a heck of a game. So we beat them.
Yeah.
You know, so we celebrated and had a big time, and then I revert. If I'd had that attitude all the way, I probably would have been decent, but I went back to my little funky self.
Talk about that
A little bit, and you know, we had nothing to gain anymore after that. It seemed like we had no goals left. All right, let's go beat these guys, or this, that, and the other. So I could have had a better. If I'd had that same attitude, I probably could have been a lot better at tape tree. So when I got into coaching, I said, we got to have that attitude. We got to beat these guys today. Every game's
Is
important.
that something you can flip
Try
the
to-
switch on? Like,
Well, you have to. Human nature says, well, we should beat these guys. No, you have to emphasize it. That
I don't think we lost to many teams that we.
no, we didn't. One of my favorite goals is we never lost to a non-Power 5 team. Army, Navy, East Carolina, we beat all those guys. And here, South Carolina, and Duke. Duke, we didn't lose to any either. So we won ready.
I want to go back because, when doing kind of the research, you realize it was, a Heisman Trophy winner, all these legendary coaching stuff right there. But you spent, decade in the NFL and getting drafted by San Francisco. The draft is such a big thing now. It's bright lights and the big city and whatnot. What was the draft like when you get picked in the first round, number 3 to San Francisco?
Still the highest picked Gator of all time, right?
I think so. Another guy was, I think I'm tied for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forget.
Had you talked to San Francisco? Like,
Not really. No, I had not.
not at all.
I had mostly talked a little bit to New Orleans, Atlanta, sort of new teams. They were had the first, and then something happened where the Minnesota Vikings traded Fran Tarkenton to the Giants, and they got the first pick somehow or another, and they took the Michigan State player, Clint Jones, I think, running back, and then somehow or another, San Francisco traded 3 players to Atlanta for their pick, and they had the 3rd pick. And I never even talked to anybody from San Francisco.
You just get a
No.
phone call?
Well, they had John Brody at the time, right?
Yeah, Brody was there. I was down at my lawyer's office here in Gainesville. Bill O'Neill, I'll call him Uncle Willie, and he just a good friend of all the Gator athletes. So he was my agent. So I'm sitting down there, and he called me by the middle name. He told the phone. He said, "Or you just got drafted by the San Francisco 49ers." I said, "Really?" I said, "You got to be kidding." I said, "No, you're with the 49ers." So anyway, they wanted me to sit behind Brody 4 or 5 years, and then be ready, I guess. So I lasted 9 years out there. But I tell people all the time, I had the best job in pro football. Backup quarterback. Don't get hit. Don't get hurt. When the game's over, fellas, where are we taking the wives tonight? What restaurant we going to?
You had one of the worst jobs having to take over that Tampa Bay Buck franchise as the starter, right? I mean, that they didn't provide you much support with blocking or weapons around you, did they?
Well, it was an expansion team.
Yeah.
The other one was Seattle, and we played Seattle. Had a close game with them. We were kicking a field goal to tie it, and they blocked the field goal, so we lost that with 13-10. We lost about 3 close ones, and then I went to minicamp the next year there, and they had hired Billy Nelson. Remember Bill Nelson, the Tampa, Southern Cal quarterback, played Cleveland Browns.
End up being congressman or something, right?
No, that's a different
Bill. Then.
No, Bill Nelson, the football player.
Okay.
In fact, McKay had coached him at Southern Cal. And but anyway, I went to the mini camp, and he talked about the fundamentals of throwing. And that's the first time I heard the guy hold it like you got a bat in your hand, keep your head like this, where you see all over the place, you know. And so I enjoyed that mini camp with him for, I think we had maybe 2 of them. And then I got released. They were going on a youth kick or something. So that was pretty much the end of my NFL days.
But a punter as well, too. I don't think a lot of people.
What'd you say? How many punts did you?
Over 203 punts.
At San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did punt a little bit there.
I mean, both. What was that experience like?
Well, I had one run back on me. I was pretty good, you know, aiming them in the sideline, getting them out of bounds when they broke one. Gale Sayers went all the way on me.
It's not a bad one to give out.
Out at Kezar. So that had to be like first year, 67 or 68, something like that.
So L. Sayers, the only
punt return
touchdown off of Steve
Yeah,
Spurrier.
I thought I had him angled in. He gave me a little juke and cut back and went all the way.
Who did you look up to? Was there a quarterback that you thought was a guy you wanted to emulate?
Oh, not any one particular. Brody and I were good friends. Brody had a, you know, NFL career. I think he's in the Hall of Fame and so forth. So we were good friends, and he was an excellent golfer. I mean, a good golfer. And I mean, back in those days, we'd practice Friday morning. We'd go up to his country club and play. So every Friday during the season, and he would play with his guys. He had a bunch of guys that scratch golfers, and I found a couple of crony guys over there I could beat. So I said, I'll play with Harry and the boys here, and John, you go ahead with your group.
How old were you when you started playing golf?
Here at Florida,
Yeah.
pretty much. Although I played a little bit back in Johnson City.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good buddy that we'd share clubs. I didn't have any clubs when I was in high school. So when I got to college here, I got a little half set and started playing really here.
Still never had an active player beat you, right? In your entire ministry career?
Yeah, that is a good story because I was at Duke and Steve Sladen, the quarterback, he's a good golfer and still is. And I caught him right at the end of the season or end of spring practice or something. And I said, I'm going to give you a chance to beat me in golf. And he said, well, Coach, you know, I'm about 2 or 3 handicap. I said, yeah, I know, but we're going to have this one round. And I think I shot 77, he shot 78. And of course he said, can we play next week? I said, no, we're not going to play this. So the most fun was down here with Judd Davis, our kicker, All-American kicker, won the Lou Groza Award. And he was the #1 guy on his high school golf team. And we're out there one day in spring practice, and Schottenheimer was here. Coach Schotty was with us, and Terry Dean. And I said, why don't all 4 of us go play golf? And Judd, I'm going to give you a chance to beat me out here at the university course. And but I got to tell you, I've never lost to a current player. I was fortunate of it.
Yeah.
Never lost to one. But I'm going to give you a chance to beat me. So he went and told all the guys on the team, Coach didn't know I was the #1 guy on the golf team. It's just... So he went out there sort of laughing a little bit, you know, and anyway, I had a pretty good day. I shot even par, 72, and he shot 76. So first thing he said, where are we going to play again? I said, Judd, ain't no again until after I'm through coaching, all right? Well, he beat me about 20 shots now probably, but.
What was the lowest round you ever had?
66. Whispering Pines, North Carolina. Bob Harris, the voice of the Duke Blue Devils, played with me that day. I was down there speaking at the company that makes mattresses. I forget the name of it. They had a little, and I spoke that night and so forth. But that was my lowest ever. So 66, that's been a good number for me. 1966, Heisman.
Let's go back to that because the way you found out about the draft, the way you found out about the Heisman win was a little unconventional too, right? They don't have the big production that they do now, correct?
Right. They called the university and they called me and said, can you go to the president's office? They want to put you on the phone with the Heisman guys. So I went to the president's office, and they told me I'd won it. And that was before the last game of the season, which we lost, by the way.
Yeah.
So the voting was timed out right for me.
So wait, I'm gonna understand. We know the Heisman Trophy is everybody is there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You had no idea, and you go into the president's office, and then that's when you get the phone call.
Well, I had read I was favored.
Yeah.
After the field goal against Auburn, they kept saying I was sort of favored. And I did actually win by a lot of votes, so that's just the way they did it back then. But I had a lot of help. Tom McEwen, sports editor, Tampa Tribune, Norm Carlson, our sports information guy, they sort of went around the country, said, we need to get somebody from the South, one of our guys down here to win it. It's been, when Paul Hornick won it with the 2-8 Notre Dame team, they decided we got to promote our guys down here in the South. So Billy Cannon, of course, won in '60. He was the last one, and I was 66.
How did that change? Does your life change in a way when you found out you were a Heisman winner?
Oh, I don't think it changed that much. Nah.
Over time, I think you've appreciated it more, right? Is it?
Oh, I've been going back after pro football was over. I've been going back every year to the Heisman. They invite all the former winners, so I've done it. Gosh, how many years is that? So it's 78, 88, 98. Oh, yeah, about 45 years, something like that.
How's the Heisman House? Has that been fun to be a part of the commercials?
You
doing things, Johnny?
good. Yeah, they're pretty nice out there. Yeah, he's a good actor. Tebow and Danny Warfel comes out and so forth. So yeah, they're fun to do. Mm-hmm.
Was there a relationship that you met through your years of going up there to the Heisman that you didn't have necessarily as a player, that all of a sudden you gravitated towards it?
Oh yeah, a guy named Malcolm McLeod. And Malcolm was a member of the Downtown Athletic Club, and we were up there at one of the events. He's at the bar having a beer, so we start talking, and he loves golf. And he said, you need to come up here, and we'll go play Shinnecock and Garden City and go over to Long Island and play all those great courses. So he put together about an 8-day trip, Wingfoot and Bethpage Black and all that kind of stuff. So we did 7 courses in 7 days and so forth. And he eventually retired and moved down to where Nicholas and Tiger and all of them live now.
Isleworth, kind of that area, or something like that.
Big Hill?
No, all the way down. All the way.
Jupiter?
West Palm, Jupiter, yeah. My man Noah Brandeis that's down there at Jupiter, yeah. And he lives down there, and I used to play in his tournament with him. We won it once in '91, I think it was. But he was a good friend and still is today. He'll call every now and then.
Yeah.
And he's about 88 now.
Golf's been a big part of your life, and I think there are times that people didn't think that you were necessarily focused all the time, like you had to be grinding on football, but you found a great way to balance football and life and family. Like, how did you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we balanced it pretty well. Maybe open date week, we would play once or twice, but I mean, we didn't play during the season or things.
I think people thought that was
Yeah.
the case. That was not the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I tell you a quick funny story. I get hired here in 1990, and we're under investigation. I go to recruit these players. I don't want to get messed up and all that problems at Florida. And I said, what problems? We don't have any problems. Well, you're under investigation. But we really had no cheating or anything. But anyway, so a week before National Signing Day, we had about, 15 commits or something, and nobody was visiting. So 1 week before National Signing Day on a Wednesday, beautiful day, about 75 degrees down here, and we're sitting around looking at each other with nobody to recruit. So I called out Gainesville Country Club. I said, how busy you guys today? They said, Coach, come on out. We got you ready to go about 1:30 or so. So I take Jim Bates and Markham and Bob Sanders went out there with us. And we go around the front side. We get to 10. We come to 11. 180-yard par 3. I hit a 4-iron. Best one of my life, I guess. It's the back of the pin, goes in the hole. I had made a hole-in-one a week before National Signing Day. Now, if that got out, all the Gators would say, I told you, all he's going to do is play golf. All he's going to do is play golf. And I said, boys, we got to keep this quiet. It'll be a fun story, 10, 20, 30 years from now, but let's keep this quiet, okay? So we kept it quiet pretty good, but it was the par 3 hole. There was a couple other greens within earsight of all that. So anyway, we kept it pretty quiet, but that was my favorite hole-in-one.
How many hole-in-ones have you had?
I've had 6.
6.
Yeah, I've been pretty.
How many you had?
0. Thanks for bringing it up. I've had, as a college golfer, that's not a sore subject whatsoever. And so you think about that, because I would imagine every place you go to, whether when you really started playing, you had an opportunity to play with so many people. We see a picture with Jack Nicklaus and whatnot. Was there anybody outside of the sports world you got a chance to play golf with that really stood out?
Outside of the sports world,
any actors or musicians or anything like that over the years had an opportunity to kind of tee up?
I may have, I guess, but no.
How about favorite?
Not what comes to mind.
Favorite golf course to play that was not in this area?
Not in this area. Probably Pebble Beach. Yeah, they have a Pebble Beach Coaches Classic you take 3 guys out with you, and they have a low gross, and then they have a handicap. And back when I could play a lick, we were always in the low gross, and our guys, we won it 5 times out of about, I've been out there about 20 times, I think. Coaches Classic. Rick Neuheis was sort of the
Rick is
sponsor guy. Oh, he still plays.
still.
Oh, yeah, he's won it probably more than anybody, he and his 3 guys. So I'm taking the team out lately just for companionship and camaraderie and what have you.
You're still playing in the thing up in Lake Oconee too, right?
Yeah. I played with Hugh Freeze this past year.
He got a lot of criticism for playing golf in the off.
We finished 3rd. And now, if he had a winning record, he wouldn't be criticized. But yeah, if you lose and play a lot of golf, that gives some people something to criticize.
I think people would be surprised that you and Kirby Smart have like kind of a friendship that you developed a little bit too, right?
Decent. Actually, we played together 2 years up there. He was my partner, and I think we came in 3rd or 4th. We were in there. Didn't putt very well, either one of us that day. But yeah, Kirby's a good coach, and I tell the trivia question, what one coach in the SEC right now has won an SEC championship? There's only one of them.
That's right.
There's only one of Kirby.
Currently right now.